The Fear of Love, a philosophy for the avoidantly attached heart. You want love, you do. Even if you don't say it out loud. Even if you've spent years pretending not to care, even if your silence says otherwise. There's a version of you that dreams of being held, not just with arms, but with understanding. A version of you that aches to be seen, not for who you pretend to be, but for who you are when no one's watching. And yet you pull away, not dramatically, quietly, and gradually you forget to reply. You say you're tired. You convince yourself the connection wasn't real anyway. It's not that you don't want intimacy. It's that intimacy feels dangerous, like something you have to survive. You long for closeness, but you're terrified of what closeness might reveal. Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote about the hedgehog's dilemma. In winter, hedgehogs huddle together for warmth, but the closer they get, the more they prick each other, so they retreat. Not because they don't want warmth, but because closeness hurts. And maybe that's you. Maybe your avoidant heart isn't cold. Maybe it's covered in quiet scars. Maybe love, for you, has always arrived with conditions, and leaving has always come without warning. So now, you leave first, before anyone gets too close, before anyone sees the parts of you that even you struggle to hold. You've learned how to be alone, how to function, how to hide your depth behind dry humor or helpfulness or competence. You've learned how to perform connection without ever fully letting someone in. Because what if they see you and walk away? What if they stay and you forget how to be yourself? What if love means losing the only thing that ever felt safe, your independence? And so, you disappear, mid-conversation, mid-relationship, mid-feeling. Not because you don't care, but because you care so much it threatens to undo you. You care, but you don't trust. Not others, not really, and not yourself. You've made a home out of distance. You know exactly how much to give and when to withdraw. It's almost subconscious now. And yet, in quiet moments, when the lights are low and the noise fades, you feel it. The ache, the longing, the emptiness that silence alone can't soothe. Carl Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself." And maybe that's the real grief. Not isolation, but the constant hiding, the daily shrinking, the feeling that no one has ever truly met the real you. Because you've never fully shown them. You've kept yourself folded, neat, palatable, and it's exhausting. Because what you really want is someone who doesn't flinch at your truth. Someone who stays. Someone who hears the tremble in your voice and doesn't ask you to explain it. But how can they stay if you never give them the chance? Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And maybe you've imagined every rejection so vividly, you don't wait for reality to prove you wrong. You assume love will suffocate you, because maybe it did once. You assume closeness will consume you, because maybe it almost did. But what if it doesn't have to be that way? What if real love isn't overwhelming? What if it doesn't demand your surrender, but your presence? What if the right kind of love makes room for your fear, not to fix it, not to save you, but to stay, even when your instinct is to run. Simone de Beauvoir wrote, "One is not born, but rather becomes a human." And maybe part of becoming human is learning how to be seen without collapsing. To stop leaving when what you really need is to be held. Avoidant attachment is not your identity. It's a strategy, a shield, a beautifully intelligent way your heart learned to protect itself. But the shield has grown heavy, and now it's keeping out the very thing you need. You don't have to drop it all at once. Start small. Stay 1 second longer in the discomfort. Answer one message with honesty. Say, "I'm scared," instead of disappearing. You don't have to rush. You don't have to explain. But you do have to begin. Because if you don't, you'll keep mistaking your fear for your nature. You'll keep watching love from a distance and wondering why you still feel so alone. Rainer Maria Rilke once said, "Love consists in this, that two solitudes protect and touch and greet each other." That's what you want, isn't it? Not to be absorbed, but to be held beside someone as two solitudes, bravely meeting in the quiet space between. You can love and still breathe. You can stay and still be you. And no, not everyone will understand. Not everyone will stay. But that doesn't mean you're not worth staying for. Because you are. Not once you're healed. Not once you're perfect. Now, exactly as you are, hesitant, hidden, afraid, and longing. Let that be enough for now. Let yourself stay just a little longer. Let love find you, not in spite of your fear, but through it. You don't need to be fearless, just willing. Because the heart you've spent years protecting still wants to be touched. And no matter how far you've run, you are not too far to come back.